and Firkins is under the weather. So I'm holding it down on all levels for everybody today. So bear with me. You all are the experts here. I thought we could all start by actually just like sending some incredibly good vibes and healing vibes and love to Mark, who is on a much deserved sabbatical. And I think that today actually might be his first day out there in the world. So um, maybe take your hand to your heart. If you love Mark, if he holds you in a lot of different ways, like send him some good energy. I'm sure he would really appreciate that. I know how much this community means to him. As we get settled in here, feel free to introduce yourself into the chat. Um, Feel free to put your devices away, turn the news off, close the door if there's other people in your house. Do whatever it is that you need to do to take care of yourself. And if you have an intention for your sit today, feel free to drop it into the chat or write it down. Really looking forward to being here with everybody on the eve of Rosh Chodesh, or I guess the waning hours of the month of Sivan, as we settle into the summer months. For those of you who are on the East Coast, you know it's summer is here. It is hot. Um, and I'm looking forward to doing a little teaching about what that means spiritually for the Hebrew calendar. Thank you, everybody, for the love in the chat. Um, I love it. I, I feel your love. We're going to get through this. We're going to have a beautiful sit today. I'm excited for it. I'm usually in Washington, D.C., but I'm lucky enough to spend a couple of weeks up in Massachusetts with my parents at the beach. So we're here and enjoying family time. My intention for today is to be present with a lot of different moving parts um, because the month of Tammuz, hot take is intense. And also I'm holding down the fort in a couple of different ways with you all today. I have a couple of announcements from IJS before we get started. So we have a sponsor today, a really, really fun one, Kay Morgan Stockman. And I'm not sure if that person is here, but if so, feel free to drop some love into the chat so that we can see you. Um, Kay Morgan Stockman is sponsoring the sit today. It's in honor of the Jewish roller derby. And if you don't know what roller derby is, I encourage you to Google it after because it's really interesting. I never knew that there was a roller derby team, but today we're thinking of this roller derby, this Jewish roller derby team of the Jewish diaspora skaters who compete internationally in the sport of flat track roller derby. And they will be competing in Innsbruck, Austria at the Roller Derby World Cup this upcoming July 3rd through 6th. And Morgan would like to thank IJS for helping her learn to meditate in order to help keep her life on track, no pun intended. And she has found that meditating is an essential thing to do before skating and has really enjoyed learning to meditate from a Jewish perspective, thanks to you all and to IJS. So thank you, Morgan, and good luck to the Jewish roller derby in your competition that's coming up. May you move from strength to strength and find balance on the skates. And I'm excited to like have that really fun, joyous energy for us today. I see some people in the chat being like, "Where's Mark?" Mark's on sabbatical, so we'll say that, and that's announcement number one. Announcement number two, I am calling all young adults in their 20s and 30s because in the beautiful Mill Valley, California, on August 5th through 10th, there's an IJS multi-day spirituality retreat specifically designed for this demographic. And the program is going to invite you to slow down, connect with yourself and others, and drop into what matters most, obviously, our hearts and our souls. And so, amidst the challenges of this daily life and the tumultuous times that we have in the world around us, this is a beautiful opportunity for renewal and for healing and transformation. So, if you want more information, Harry is going to drop the link into the chat. for maybe if you're not the right demographic, but you know some other people, feel free to send it their way. And the last announcement that I want to make is that in July, At the Well and IJS are doing a really exciting co-partnered program. We are doing a workshop for parents, grandparents, or caretakers to learn how to bring spirituality and the Hebrew calendar into the house. I'll be leading a training that At the Well's developed for families to develop a Rosh Chodesh practice in the house. And the reason that we've done that is because even though it's a minor Jewish holiday, it really hasn't been passed down in the home door to door. It hasn't been role modeled as understanding how we could integrate Jewish time in the home beyond, moving the calendars necessarily. So come join us. Harry can put that into the chat. Actually, I have it up right here too. So come join us for those who are interested. Yes, the Parent Spirituality Workshop. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's in July sometime. Okay, everybody. Those are my announcements for IJS. Thanks for bearing with me. As you know, it's not my normal thing. But I'm really looking forward to being here with everybody. My name is Sarah Waxman. I am the founder and CEO of an organization called At the Well, whose mission is to support women's well-being and wholeness rooted in Jewish ritual. And I have the great privilege of many years coming to lead this IJS sit on Rosh Chodesh. So here we are today. Today's the last day of Sivan. Tonight we start Rosh Chodesh Tammuz. And I hate to be the bearer of intense news, but in the Hebrew calendar, the summer months are really intense. So I'm curious, show of hands. I know we can't see everybody's face, but show of hands, raise your hand if it has felt really intense in your life recently. Okay, I see a lot of raised hands. Show of hands if it's felt really intense in your community or in this country recently. Well, folks, I'm here to share with you that we are aligned with the Hebrew calendar because that is what is being taught for us in this spiritual wisdom tradition that's been happening forever and ever. We read in Ecclesiastes, this text that we read on Sukkot, that there's a time for everything, for every season, for everything under the sky. There's a time to weep and there's a time to laugh. There's a time to mourn. There's a time to dance. There's a time for war. There's a time for peace. And Tammuz is the time for us to embrace our sorrow. So if you are feeling sorrow, please know that actually our sages and Judaism teaches us that this is a time for us to put a focus on it and to do what we can to respond to that moment rather than react to it. I know that this is not as fun as like Adar when I lead a laughing meditation with everybody, or Nisan when we talk about our expansive selves, or even the winter months of Kislev when we're thinking about miracles and light and hope and dedication. In the summer months, the month of Tammuz and the month that's following Av are known as the two weeping eyes of the year, the time that we are thinking about sadness. So I'm going to encourage us to be present with our suffering and encourage us to encounter our difficult feelings and to remember that we're not alone in them, and that actually part of Jewish wisdom is not just, horrors all the time. It's about confronting what it means to be human, and sorrow and grief and sadness are part of what it means to be human. And that this time of the year is a time for us to explore that. In Psalms, we know that there's a beautiful passage that says that those who sow in tears will also reap in joy. And so I think there's actually a lot of wisdom for us to allow space for us to feel these difficult emotions. And perhaps the wisdom's telling us that the harder that we go into it, the more laughs that will be on the other side. Of course, we can't control the geopolitics, but we can control the way that we respond to it. We respond to it in our bodies. We respond to it in our homes and our communities. And in the mystical teachings, the Sefer Yetzirah, the healing property of the month of Tammuz that comes in conjunction with this intensity is the idea of sight vision and being very specific about the way that we put our mind or put our eyes, put our vision. And then, so my big question to all of us is to think about what helps us restore our clear sightedness in times of deep grief and suffering. Perhaps our eyes can also let us see the Shekhinah, the divine presence that is holding all of us, no matter what's going on in this broken world, and that we can build it back up with love. Olam Chesed Ibenei. So with that, I'm going to lead us in a sit. And I just want to acknowledge, if you are like, I do not want to do that practice today, feel free to mute and pick it back up at the 55 so we can say Chodesh together. This is your time together, and I'm here to help us align Jewishly with the time and with the months. So with that, we'll take a deep breath in and let a big, deep breath out. And maybe inhale some of that grief and sorrow that you've been feeling. And let a big, audible exhale out. The body keeps score, right? Like it knows that we've been holding this intensity. Let's take one more deep breath in. Feel free to shake your head, your neck, your shoulders out if you're starting to notice any tightness. Inhaling and exhaling. We'll ground our feet to the floor. Find your body in a comfortable position. Imagine the crown of your head extending up to the sky as far as it can, with dignity, with love, with connection to the divine through the Keter, through the top of your head. Allow your eyes to close or soften. Feel free to shake out any kind of like agitation that you have or restlessness that you have and find your way into stillness. As we embark on our Tammuz Rosh Chodesh sit today, I want to evoke an ancestor or a person that's very special to you, that has your back completely, that loves you unconditionally, that you love unconditionally. Could be someone that you're related to or someone in history that's been a huge inspiration or rock for your wholeness. Just call attention to that person's presence and imagine that their warm hand is on the back of your heart, and take some breaths into their hand. When we think about our hearts, we always think about the energy going forward, the output of love that we have. But in this case, keep breathing into the back of your heart. Imagine that your heart is being fully supported completely, and that you are the recipient of this person's love. Imagine this person whispering in your ear something along the lines of, "You're a human being. Sometimes it's okay to cry. I've got you and support you fully. Inhaling and exhaling. That is the practice today. As we move into the month of Tammuz, and we know that the spiritual teachings, the Jewish teachings of the months, are ones that we focus on these intense emotions. I'm going to move us through a practice today, the RAIN practice, RAIN. We're going to recognize it, we're going to allow it, we're going to investigate it, and we're going to nurture it. The month of Tammuz, the month of heating, in the actual physical world in the northern hemisphere, the sun is beating down on us. It's the longest day of the year. It is hot, hot, hot. And when the earth gets hot, humans get angry. Wars start. People are agitated with each other. Thousands of years ago, on the 17th of Tammuz, the walls of Jerusalem broke and began a period between now and the 9th of Av, known as the 3 weeks of mourning, from when the walls broke eventually till the destruction of the temple. Notice if there's anything in your life currently that feels like it's in destruction, that it is evoking tears, and honors that we're right here in this month of the two weeping eyes. I'm going to invite us to sit with it, even though it's challenging. Feel supported by the Hebrew calendar and by our ancestors and by each other. And first, we're going to recognize it. Notice it. What does it feel like in our bodies? Secondly, we're going to allow it. Allow it to be there. Give it permission to be fully in Tammuz. Stay with your breath. Notice if it's shortened. That's normal. Next, we'll move into investigating it, allowing that grief and sorrow to stay there. What strikes your curiosity about it? And now we're moving into nurture it. Meet that grief and sorrow with so much compassion and love and anything that you can give it. Feel free to physically put your hands on your heart or any other part of your body, or imagine yourself giving or receiving a hug supported by those arms. You know, in Judaism, we give hands through we give blessings through our hands from parent to child. Imagine yourself with your hands giving that grief and sorrow this blessing. May I feel ease in this moment. May I get through this challenging emotion with curiosity and compassion. If it's helpful for you, you can think of the divine presence giving you that blessing, holding you completely, acknowledging you're doing the best, and that the wave of intensity will rise and fall, and that that's normal. We have 187 souls on this call with each other, all doing this work at the same time. Imagine yourself plugging into the electrical socket that we're all connected through, giving love and receiving love from this beautiful community that's moving through this challenging time together. sages in the Talmud teach us that the temple was destroyed due to baseless hatred, they said. Baseless hatred. Dr. Erica Brown, in her book, The Narrow Places, says that means that we can symbolically rebuild that temple from a place of baseless love. In our last couple moments of our sit, I want to invite all of us to give each other baseless love and to receive that love from our ancestor that's holding our heart and from this Hevra, this community that's here showing up, doing the work together. Let's take 3 intentional breaths together. Inhaling love, exhaling love, inhaling love, exhaling love. Last time together, inhaling love, and exhaling love. When you're ready, take your hands together, rub them, give them some heat. Heat it up. It's hot outside. It's Tammuz. Let's feel the fire. Let's transmute it to something positive for ourselves. Place it over your eyes, on your heart, anywhere on your body that you think could be the biggest receptor of that heat, that love. When you're ready, you can gently allow your eyes to open and lean in a little bit here to see these souls and give them that energy that we did this together. And then take that love that we've got and bring it right back to you. Chodesh Tov, everybody. Thanks for having me. We're going to move into the Chodesh together. Harry's going to put it on the screen and unmute us to say it together. For those of you who are in mourning, feel free to put the names in the chat so we can hold them in our hearts. Yitkadal, Yitkadal, Shemay Rabah,
Amen.
Yitkadal, Yitkalev, Yamesh, Makol,
Israel,
Galal, Zman, Bereith, Yimru,
Ishmael Rabba Leila
Ishmael
Maya
Rabba Deborah,
Ishmael
Ishmael
Maya
Maya,
Zach, Yeta'ar, Yetavon, Yeta'ar, Yetalev, Yetalav, Shab, Kol, Ata v'nechamaka, alav yamim v'sharim, Yishlema rabbanim shalom, kol Yisrael v'Yisrael, amen.
Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav Kol Yisrael Kol Yisrael Kol Yisrael Amru Amen. Amen.
Kal Yoshve Tevel Amru Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everybody. May we move from this hard months with as much compassion for ourselves, with as much acknowledgement and nurturing as we possibly can, And may the deep, honest truth and love that we experience today fill the skates of the Jewish roller derby team as they take this blessing onto the track with them. I'll be staying on to answer some questions, obviously not in conversation with Mark. He's happily on his sabbatical. But thank you, everybody. And when you close your computer today, especially since we did something hard, just take a couple of moments to nurture yourself before you interact with all the other things that are going on that are chaotic and also fully aligned with the month of Tammuz just being itself. Chodesh Tov, everybody, and thank you so much for being here together. Okay. We'll take some questions. We, meaning me and myself here. I see a lot coming in. Thank you, everyone, for the love. I appreciate it. I'm sending it right back to you. I'm so sad I had to lead us through Tammuz, but also it's my great pleasure to help us make Jewish wisdom come alive for us and be honest. And the Hebrew calendar is not all, dance parties. It's teaching us to be real humans. I think that there's certainly enough things in the world that I'm experiencing that make me really sad, and having just a little space to acknowledge it can also be really important too. Yes, some tears have been coming up. Okay, questions I see. Okay, Esther, if you have a trauma history, do you have thoughts on shifting or adding to the RAIN practice? Esther, I'm not a therapist. I learned this from a teacher of mine. And so I want to answer it from my own perspective, but I think it's a really interesting model that you could talk to a professional about. I think the basis for me that's important is to acknowledge it and to give it space, and then also to use your mind's eye to put the nurture on it too. It's not to say that it's not a valid feeling. It's just that it can be also offered with support, which is why I started the whole meditation before we went into it by rooting into an ancestor, because that's something we do Jewishly. You get called to community. You get called Sarah up to the Torah, the daughter of Seth, and Debbie, the granddaughter of Barbara and Herbie, and Frida and Fifth. Like, it is, I come from some place, and that can be a source of strength. And if your family of origin is not the source of strength for you, then there's other people on the planet that can be. And so I want to just make sure that even as we go through challenging emotions, we're not feeling it alone. But I don't have a background in talking about trauma. And so I want to be honest about my ability to fully answer that question. But if anybody has thoughts on here for Esther, please private message her so that we can support her. Judy asks, where's God through all of our pain? Can we crowdsource that one? For Judy, I think God's right there. My answer is God's there. God isn't always about the happiness. And just like the Psalm teaching that there's sorrow, and that helps us have joy. And the Ecclesiastes text that there's a time for everything under the sun, and that there's times for these things when we're just humans being humans, but God's there all along. And it's like classic time to like call out to God, where are you, when it feels so hard. I don't know, maybe we should try doing that when it's really good too, and see what God says to us. Robin asks, what is the N in RAIN? I missed it. Nurture. R is recognize it. A is allow it. I is to investigate it. And N is to nurture it. So first, recognize that you're even feeling that sorrow. Like, my wife woke up in a bad mood the other day, and she had no idea that she was in a bad mood. I think the practice is to like acknowledge and notice and recognize that maybe you feel a little tight in the heart, and that's a first step. And then to not try to push it away, but to allow it in the right container, obviously. investigate it with curiosity, and then support it fully as much as we can. And Lester says that another N could be non-attachment or not me, and that they recognize the pain, but it doesn't define who they are. I love that, Lester. That's an awesome teaching for that. A lot of questions about where Mark is. He's on vacation. He's on sabbatical. Elena asks this question that came up in her sit about why so much hatred towards Kal Israel. And I don't have an answer here, but in the chat, it's a really interesting reflection that Alana is sharing here. As there's hate and darkness throughout the world, why would be absolved from all this? And I want to nurture this. We are chosen. We are the picture of resilience and strength. The light in our soul shines brighter, and the opposing darkness feels so oppressive. That's a beautiful way of seeing it. And I think that for me, the permission to go into the challenging emotions, rooted in Judaism, gives me strength, gives me resilience, gives me spaciousness, gives me the chance to cope with it, helps me have tools to respond to things that agitate me. I feel extremely challenged, as I'm sure most of you do in this current time. And still, I think I have it better than my grandparents had it. And so I want to keep context for that, and I want to stay strong for it, and I want to respond and be the best human that I can through it. Jacqueline asks, what's the meaning behind the placement of this month with the focus on sorrow at this point in the Jewish calendar? Great question. So I'll just say that on the 17th of Tammuz, the walls of Jerusalem broke. And then on the 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av, was when the destruction of the temple happened. And so those 3 weeks are weeks of mourning. And so the summer months are really shaped around this mourning period. I think the other thing is that the Hebrew calendar reflects what's going on in the natural world, and that when it's really, really, really hot outside, actually crime rates go up. It's when wars happen. It's when people are agitated and they can't, or they respond with anger. It's when, in cities, prepare for the summer because they know things are elevated for it. So it's a reflection of the natural world and also historical, dates that happened throughout Jewish history. If you look up after here, a little Google of things that have happened in Tammuz and Av, it's not like a coincidence. I think it's just a reflection of what happens when we get overheated. So that's where we are. The good news is that, so we're in Tammuz. Next is Av. The first half of Av is sad, and then the second half of Av is in full love. The full moon of Av is Tu B'Av, and that's one of the only days in the calendar that was placed on purpose by the rabbis to catch our heart. It's the Jewish love day. So just know that we're in this period, and then the other side of it is love, and then we get into Elul, and we kind of start again for the fall, which has a totally different energy to it. But we're saying goodbye to the spring, a very happy time, that started with Shabbat, and the full moon of Shabbat being Tu B'Shvat, and the full moon of Adar being Purim, and the full moon of Nisan being Passover. That was like our entrance into the spring. And then we have Passover, we have ER, which is healing, and then we have Sivan, which is receiving, and then we go to the summer and we burn it all down. And it goes in the cycle like that over time throughout history. And so we can plug into that. And that's where we are in the calendar right now. Linda asked, who do I quote from the Guarding the Baseless Hatred? Dr. Erica Brown in her book, The Narrow Places. And she's a fantastic teacher if you're looking for a deep Torah scholar. She's written a lot of books. She lives in DC. I don't know her personally, but I think she's brilliant. So that's her. I have 60 messages. I'm going to keep going through these questions. Joan asks, what does the naming of ideas associated with the months come from? I mean, a lot of different answers. Some of it is, I mean, this calendar system is really, really old. It was created by the Israelites. Actually, the same time that the zodiac was created by the Babylonians, right across the river at that time. So it's an ancient calendar. There's a lot of influence from that period in Mesopotamia and that region. It comes from the cycles in nature, and it also comes, some of it God commanded about when when things happen in Torah, and also things that have happened throughout history as we've moved through time. Different months have different names that come from different origins, so can't go into all of that now. Um, there's like a whole world to explore if that's something that you're interested in, Linda. And you can go to At the Wells resources. Also, we have a lot about each month in them. Question from Pauline. Does the mood of the months and season result from the weekly Torah portions? The Korah rebellion this week, the death of Miriam, the snake plays next week, curses turn to blessings, Pinchas violently attacking this week after. Yes, Pauline. Every month has the same 4 Torah portions. And those Torah portions obviously are really influenced and interwoven with the different themes of the months. And so you're pointing out all the Torah portions that are going on right now, and they're all really intense. And some of this, the Korah rebellion probably happened because it was hot, right? People were fed up and they like couldn't bear it anymore. The death of Miriam, the snake, the plagues. Yeah, it's all like interwoven together. And it's really beautiful once you start kind of like seeing the different layers of not just the weekly Torah portions, but also how that impacts the whole months, the themes, and how that's connected to nature and related to all the other holidays that are coming on. So that's that's the that's that connection. Okay, guys, I'm scrolling through all these questions and wanting to make sure that I'm able to answer all of them. If I'm missing one, please type it back into the chat. It's kind of awkward to have a one-on-one monologue with myself for an hour. So I really appreciate everybody here. There's still 112 people, so I guess I'm responding to something interesting for folks. Okay, on to the top here. Okay, I don't see any more questions that have come through. So I have a question back to all of you, which is, like I said in the beginning, in the Sefer Yetzirah, which is Kabbalistic text, that the healing property of the month of Tammuz is sight, and that we can actually use our vision to help us focus on what's important to us. So I just want to crowdsource from everybody here. What helps you restore your clarity, your clear-sightedness, your perspective? What helps you restore your clear-sightedness? Jewish studies, says Sandy. Meditation. Yeah, we're in the right place. Getting out in nature, spending time with my friends, slowing down, breathing helps, equanimity, water, good friends, swimming, good friends, not hard friends. I love that. My grandchildren, yoga, other people showing me tips on organizing my ideas in paper, drawing, community, or coming from curiosity, hearing the truth, love, music, the IJS daily sit, singing, balancing time with others and time with being alone, being in nature, prayer, exercise, rest, gardening, dancing, tough love, humming, painting, animals, being of service. Beautiful list, everybody. Like, these are the things that I think are our guides for the month, because it's going to be intense. We're reading about them in the Torah portions. It's really hot outside. You can't control how others respond or react to the heat, but we have the ability to put our eyes on these things and to put our hands on these things and to put our time on these things. And I think that's what a mindfulness practice is trying to tell us, right? To recognize it and to respond rather than react, to allow it to happen, but also to be an agent of our own life. And so here's all these beautiful things that we could be doing and inspiring for ourselves for this time. Oh, Joan says the tough love is okay, but gentle graciousness and patience is better. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Both. I'm a mom of a little toddler, so sometimes you gotta have tough love. And I still love her completely. It's just I don't want her to jump off the ledge, you know? And that's kind of what she's really wanting to do. So that's why I smiled at that. Is what kind of evoked that for me. Thank you, everyone, for those sweet wishes. I'm really appreciative, and again, the intensity of the month. Okay, Rachel has a question from Rachel above. Thank you. What is we are responsible for destroying the temple with our own baseless hatred or reactivity in current life? What does our lineage say about how to deal with this reckoning? Yeah, the temple, I mean, the temple being destroyed, I I think it's both the baseless hatred towards the Jewish people at the time, and obviously there was fighting that was going on amongst the Jewish people at that time. So I think that that's kind of what it's referring to, and about whether or not when there's like baseless hatred coming towards the Jewish people, why do we need, I think the question is like, why do we need to hold that if it's something that's coming from the outside? Is that how you guys are reading that question? Um, that, I mean, I think when someone's coming at you with hatred, you have to live with it, even if it's not coming from you. And how you morph it, and how you shape it, how do you use it to be still in full control of who you want to be. That is the work, and that's what spiritual practice would have to do, will have to say with us. Um, and I'm not sure if other people have answers to this question or if I'm reading it wrong, but I think that Jewish wisdom is saying community up, be there for each other, collective care matters, lean into joy and love, don't shy away from the challenging stuff. That's why we have a whole community of it. That God is supporting us completely. To do your rituals and your practices so that over time, repeated, they become habits and they become ingrained in who we are. To be a partner and an agent with the divine, with God, to build the world that we want. I hope I'm answering your question, Rachel. And if I'm not specific enough, then please let me know. Joan says she needs some new friends. So if you want to be Joan's friend, find her and private message her and get together either in person or online. I'm really happy to hear that this supported folks. And again, I gave the PSA warning if it was too much to mute me. Rachel says, I mean how we act. Still, I'm not totally sure I understand your question, Rachel. I really want to. So I'll keep scrolling down to understand. when we failed in doing so and the temple was destroyed. Yeah, I mean, there's some lessons there. When we study Hanukkah, it's like not all that, you know, the Assyrians were coming to us. If you really look at what was going on, there was some stuff that was going on that was from our own, you know, lack of connection, lack of coming together. I certainly feel like right now I would like to see more connection and support and collective care. And I think these past 2 years have been excruciating, both coming from the outside world to the Jewish world and also within the Jewish world to each other. And that is just maybe humans, but also if we can be aware of that, maybe what can we do to control it in our own families and our own friend groups, and to hold that with us, to remember and give people grace to know they're probably just doing the best that they can. And like my meditation teacher says, you can only control your own boomerang. So what she means is like, I can't control what somebody else might be throwing out, but it's likely going to come back to them because that's what happens. You can only just control what your boomerang is. So if someone's coming at you with hate, and you might want to react with hate, and that would make sense, and I wouldn't fault you for it because that's kind of like what humans sometimes do. But with the meditation practice, we might be able to acknowledge that that's how we're feeling. We might be able to allow ourselves to feel it. We might want to nurture ourselves so that we can choose to send the boomerang out that we want to. And if you're committed to love and justice and equity and community, and healing, then perhaps in that moment of challenge, you meet that with the appropriate boomerang. And I'm not to say that it's all peace and love always, because I follow Jewish wisdom, and Ecclesiastes tells me really clearly that sometimes it's like this and sometimes it's like that. So that's that. All right, everybody. Thank you, everybody, so much for having me. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for sharing what clear-sightedness means to you. Please, like I said, close your computer, hold yourself in compassion before you engage with the rest of that world, because you did something really difficult today and you sat with something important. Morgan, we are sending you so much strength, so much ancestral Jewish strength to go around and around like a hora and that derby, and to live your values and be the best that you can today. We're all rooting for you. And I just want to appreciate everybody so much for the sit. Thanks, everybody. Take good care. Chodesh Tov. We'll see you in Av.